Hey, yeah, Salakia. Hey, Shalom, Salakia. It's gonna be part 2. I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up. Phone ran out of memory. I wasn't able to delete a lot, so let me just hit these last. Let me get to it, man. All right, it says, Sirach 2 and 2. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure it, and make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. And that's what Job received, an increase. All right, you can read about it in the last chapter. All right, the end of Job was way greater than the beginning. All right, and better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. All right, it says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate, just as it tells us in Job, the 5th chapter, man, you know? Happy is the man whom the Most High correcteth. So whatever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. All right, we're in a low estate now. We're as worms. We're low, man, but what the scripture say, the Lord bringeth the poor out of the dunghill. All right, so this low estate that we're in, and even in your low moments, you know, in your own, you know, your walk, you go through ups and downs. One thing I noticed in my short time in the truth, man, when I'm catching hell and I'm feeling real down, I was like, damn. Okay, it's time, you know, just do it. The little bit of experience I got is like, hey, the Lord want to level me up, you know. Hey, what is the Lord telling me? You know, let me lock in, and you know, let me lock in so I could grow. Fuck it. All right, hey, we're gonna hit the ultimate growth spurt when Yahweh Shai returns. It says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. All right. Your patience possesses your soul. Patience is what it takes. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. All right, so we're going through trials and adversity to be brought forth as gold. Okay, it says, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men who are to be accepted of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, they're tried in the furnace of adversity. All right, let's end it here in the book of James 5. James 5 and 7. Be patient, therefore, brethren, until the coming of the Lord. See? So we're going to have to suffer. Be patient until the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waited for the precious fruit of the earth, and have long patience for it until he have received the early and latter rain. All right. Be ye also patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. Be ye also patient. All right. And establish your heart, your mind. Okay? So that scripture says, set thy heart aright and constantly endure. It says, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. Yeah. Okay? The Lord soon to return. Just look at what's going on in the earth. That's why none should be able to keep you in a down spirit. You have ups and downs, but none should keep you in a down spirit. Be ye also patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door. Who's the judge? Yahweh Shai. Grudge not against one. All them petty quarrels and shit. We don't do that. All right, we don't do that, man. Make things right with your brother, man. Make things right with all the believers, man. If you got any type of, you know, quarrel or anything, man, you know, did that shit. Did it. It ain't worth it. Verse 10. Take my brethren, the prophets who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Yeah, all the prophets. The top prophet, the top messenger, Yahweh Shai. All right, but all of them, man. That's why all of the men of the Lord, the spirit of prophets is subject to the prophets. So all of the men of the Lord, okay, they're going through it now. You know? What you're going through is not uncommon. What I'm going through is not uncommon. You know, we all go through similar things, man. You know? You're not alone. 11. Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Lord. Okay? That the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy. All right, you have seen the end of the Lord. All right, and what is the Lord's end for his elect? We end it here in Jeremiah 29 and 11. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, said the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. You have a healthy heart, a healthy mind towards the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and you're doing what you're commanded to do. What's his thoughts towards you? All right, the Lord have not appointed us into wrath, but into salvation through Hamashiach Yahushai. It says, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you, said the Lord. Yahweh Shem Yahushua, thoughts of peace. All right, peace unto the elect. All right, Galatians 6:16. And not of evil. All right, in ill times, the Most High has not appointed us into wrath, though. Yeah, it's these non-believers, these infidels, these demons out here. All right, because straight's going to come up on them. All right, and they're going to be stuck, dwelling torments. It says, thoughts of peace and not of evil to give you an expected end. All right, and what's our expected end? All right, what's our expectation? Salvation. All right. Hey, we forsake all to follow the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Hey, we expect, you know, the promise. We expect the reward that's written if we endure. Okay. Then shall you call upon me, and you shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. All right, so continue to pray. All right, hearken to the word, and be diligent. You know, and whatever you're going through, man, take it cheerfully. All right, we're going through the furnace of affliction, through the fire to be brought forth as gold. All right, so with that, I'm going to close it out, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, HaRachah, Kodash. Shalom to the Lord's elect.